This is the Corner Cutter Podcast, a consistent weekly show all about speed cubing, and you're listening to episode 62. Hey, welcome to the Corner Cutter Podcast. Podcasting since 2014 and cubing since 2015. I'm your host, Josh, and this is the most consistent speed cubing podcast dedicated to entertain and educate you with in-depth conversations with cubers from all across the sport. My website is thecornercutterpodcast.com. And thanks so much for joining me today. Huge news recently in the cubing community, and that is what we are covering today. There are two topics. First, the new 3x3 world record, which happened a few weeks ago, and the new one, which just came out last week, and that is feet getting removed from the WCA. So it looks like there won't be the feet solve 3x3 with feet as an event anymore. So we dive into this today. My guests are Rustin and Owen, and this is episode 3 of Cubu Chats. Before we get to that though, I just want to share how you can support the show. There's two main things you can do. First, by using my affiliate links and discount codes when you purchase cubes. So if you purchase cubes a lot, I would appreciate if you could use my affiliate links and codes. Just go to thecornercutterpodcast.com/support, or just go to the support the show page on my website. And then the other way is, you benefit greatly as well, but I sell all the magnets you need to make a DIY magnetic clock. So the magnets you need are a certain type of ring magnet that has a hole in the middle, so it's a ring, and then the 5x1 disc magnets. And I have all those and will ship all those out to you for $15. It's really a great deal, and shipping is super quick because I usually ship it out the same day. So you can go to thecornercutterpodcast.com/clock-magnets and purchase them there, and I'll have the link in the show notes to this episode as well. So now let's jump into the main segment of today's episode, which is Cubu Chats episode 3. So welcome to the third episode of Cubu Chats, and today we are discussing two main topics. Just like having a big conversation about the new 3x3 world record 3.47 and about feet possibly getting removed from the WCA, which is pretty big news. Both of these are huge news. So I'm welcoming two people back. Well, actually, just one back. Rustin, thanks for coming back on. I know you were featured last week as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And then new to the Corner Cutter Podcast, Owen. Thanks for filling out the form and coming on.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This is a really great experience, and this is really fun.
Awesome. Yeah, you're welcome. So let's jump right into the 3x3 world record. As I said, the time was 3.47, first sub 4 officially. And so what are your first reactions on it? Owen, why don't you go first?
So this solve is like a time that people usually don't even get at home. So Felix has a video on his channel of him. It's called just 3x3 PB, and it's something like 3.8 or something like that. I'm not entirely sure the specifics, Same thing with Max Park. He has a video of him getting a really good time that's something like 3.8 or 3.9. But there have been no like videos or anything like this of people getting such low sub 3.5 singles. And just looking back at the scramble, not only does it make so much sense, but it also makes you question if this was like a setup or something. If they knew this scramble was going to be this easy and they wanted to do something. I have no idea, and I'm not saying that it was faked, but I'm just saying it's really crazy.
Yeah, it was an amazing solve. Lots of people's first reactions were, it's a fake, misscramble, something like that. And that, I mean, it seems kind of obvious before we got all this information because it's such a quick time and such a jump from 4.22. Rustin, what was your first reaction?
I didn't really want to believe it because it was just so insanely fast. It was like 0.8 faster than the previous world record. And Felix has only had I think he said 8 to 10 solves faster than that in an interview Cubing Encoded did. So I just can't believe how much faster it is than the previous world record. And I feel like it's going to be quite a few years before someone breaks it.
Yeah, that's a huge possibility. I mean, well, I'm guessing you will see a few more sub 4 singles next year. Because look at Jaden almost got that one. Felix is getting super close, like 4.22. That's pretty close. And then this
that's
one,
really close.
And then look at Max Park. He's gotten how many sub 4.5s does he have? Is it just one, or does he have more than
I can pull this up. So his 3x3 PB is I was way wrong. So his 3x3 single PB is 3.14.
Yeah, Felix has a 3.02 at home.
No, I was talking about
2.02
Max's official solve.
Official solves. Aha, that I can also figure out really quickly.
I think Felix officially, I looked at Felix, he only has one sub 4.5 officially.
Mm-hmm. And I know he has 4.59 and then...
Yeah.
But, that's getting pretty far away from sub 4, so... But this solve that Yushang do, is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah.
Correct. Yushang do.
He had a double X cross and then
a free pair. Mm-hmm. And then he canceled into his last pair. And then it did a back soon and a PLL skip.
Yeah, so...
It was crazy.
Very interesting solve. Any other thoughts on... is it still possible that this solve was set up? Because if you look at the other people who got this scramble, their times weren't that impressive.
I don't know. I know Felix tried it, and he couldn't find the same solution, and he couldn't beat that solve until he looked at the solution, so...
Yeah.
Being 29 moves, or 28 moves, that's extremely lucky. So
yeah, it's 28.
Yeah. Max Park, if he had that same solution, on average he has 10 to 11 TPS, so we might have seen a sub 3. You never know, but it's possible that he could have.
Yeah, and this world record scramble, interestingly enough, I just dropped my mouse. I'm looking at the other solves. So it looks like, it was one of, for that scramble, it was one of only 3 sub 10s. And the other ones were 7.72 and 9.94 for that scramble. And someone actually got a DNF.
What were these people averaging? Sub 10?
Let's see. So this person's average was 8.21. The person who got second place, and the other person got 10th place and averaged 11.65.
Well, you could look on Cubing database and then compare it to all the reconstructions and then make sure that he got the right scramble. And I'm sure the WCA did that, so...
Yeah, the delegate did confirm that it was the correct scramble. Then I guess this goes to show that 3x3 single at least used to be able to, I mean, anybody like sub 9, sub 10, 8, sub 10, sub 9, sub 8 has a chance of getting it. This just has to be a lucky solve. Like, technically the first person to get a sub 5 single averaged around 8 or 9 as well.
True.
Yeah.
If you look on the WCA, this 3.47 single is now listed as the 3x3 world record. So the WCA has confirmed it.
Yeah, I kept checking to make sure that it wasn't fake, and it wasn't.
Mm-hmm. So how is this going to affect the cubing community? Or how has it affected it?
There were a lot of people didn't believe it, including me, and now there's just like, you look up a reconstruction and you can find like, I don't know, a ton of videos.
So a lot of people tuning in are going to think I'm joking, but I'm actually not. And what I'm going to say is that it's going to encourage a lot of people to start recording their solves with like some sort of camera as they're solving, because this world record solve, the only video we have of it is someone recording on their phone a computer monitor which is playing back surveillance camera video of the world record happening.
And without that video, Yushang wouldn't have gotten the $13,000 that Moyu gave him for using their cube.
Whoa. Mm-hmm.
Or I think it was 13,000. It was somewhere close to that.
Oh, and I really think you're right, though. It's so easy to record your solves, and if you don't get a good average or anything, just delete it. But at least if something happens, you have the video evidence. No matter if it's a world record or you need an extra attempt or something like that. Yeah,
but then there's always the chance that you do something wrong, and like because of the camera, it gets DNF'd, or like when I video myself, I usually get more nervous. And then I've also had to solve DNF because at the time I didn't know that your camera had to be facing one way because I could see the back of my cube through the reflection. That was like a few years ago, but so there's always that risk, but
so when I record my solves, I always use the I use my phone, but I use the normal camera. So the best thing I've ever done in competition was my personal best 4x4 solve. I recorded using the front-facing camera, but I set up the camera wrong. So I was just recording other people watching me.
Uh-huh. Well, at least you got to see the reaction.
Yeah.
What was
Whoa, that kid got a 117. Whoa.
Uh-huh. So do you guys think Felix will be able to get close to this or even break it like he normally does after one of his records gets broken?
Well, Felix said in the Cubing Encoded's interview, I keep referring to that, but anyway, he said that he doesn't think it's going to be broken for 3 or 4 years. And that's like It's quite a while. So I feel like it's going to be quite a while, but Felix and Max are probably gonna get like continental records, like oceanic record and North American records that are sub 4. But it's going to be a while before the world records ends up being broken.
Oh, that's I guess a positive of it getting broken in China. That way, the US and Australia still can get national records. But, I mean, I guess it's sort of obvious who might get those.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Well, Patrick Ponce is really good, and so is Jaden McNeil. So, I mean, there's some contenders for the US and Australia, as well as Max Felix.
Yeah. I agree. I guess going back to the solve not being on video, that is, I mean, that's, I guess he didn't expect to get the world record at all, so I guess that's why he wasn't recording his solve. But I guess it's kind of disappointing for the community because there isn't a video or a quality video they can watch on it.
I'm just watching the video right now, and yeah, it's not the best quality.
I don't even know how they could tell it was a Moyu Cube from that video.
I don't know. He probably said something.
Yeah. I mean, but Moyu said they needed like video evidence, otherwise they wouldn't give them the reward because they needed proof.
Prove it that it was he was using the Moyu Cube, or that he got the world record.
That he was using a Moyu Cube for the world record.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just looked, and there's only 20 people in the world who have official sub 5s. Well, I guess 21 because the 3.4 is sub 5.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
just like you scroll down, and they're all like 0.01 away, and then there's the top 2 are so far apart, and that's just crazy.
So the highest sub 5 is by Nicolas Sanchez,
and it's
a 4.99. Yeah.
And there's a guy with a 5.00, or Philip Weyer, actually.
Oh, yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, I remember last year, or it wasn't even last year, it was earlier this year. No, it was last year, when we all learned about, we all kind of had the same kind of thing, when we learned about Seong Byum Cho, or Steve Cho, with the 4.59.
True.
And it was crazy. We couldn't really believe it because it seemed, I don't even remember what the previous world record was.
It was 4.69 Patrick's.
Yeah.
Solve.
Patrick's 4.69?
Yeah. It wasn't believable because he was a slower 3x3 solver, or it was
because he was unheard of.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I didn't know who he was.
And it's the same thing here. You hear, what's his name? Yushang got the world record, and you don't ask, what was the time? You ask, who's Yushang Du?
Yeah.
Yushang Du, if you're listening to this, I am very sorry. Please be my friend.
Well, it's just because in China they don't have Facebook or YouTube, so there's no way even if he videoed it, no one would even see it. Well, I mean, people would, but like not as many as if he could have just put it on YouTube.
I guess Owen's sort of talking about how popular he is before the solve, but right,
True.
Owen?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this was huge topic of discussion in the cubing community the past few weeks. And it was very interesting to see it all unfold. But I think now we'll move on to the next topic, which is the WCA is considering, or actually might even, like for sure, remove feet from the WCA events list. So I just want to dive right into this. What were your guys' initial reactions when you heard about this? I know I was skeptical at first, but then as I learned more information, it really seems like they are going to remove it. And I mean, I guess there's mixed emotions because of reasons we'll get into in a minute. But what were you guys' first thoughts?
I honestly did not find out until right now. But I am not very happy because foot solve is really fun and I enjoy it.
So I actually have a very big opinion on this. So, feet solving is, I mean, let's be honest, it's a weird event, but getting rid of it has a lot of impact and on the community in multiple ways. So the first way that you can look at it is that it's getting rid of what the weirdest event, and we're all weird people. We all love weird things. So it's just getting rid of a bunch of the fun in cubing, which is not fun. And then the next thing, and the much more important thing, and the thing that people actually care about, is that sum of ranks. So getting rid of it will, the top people on sum of ranks, one of the top people on both single and average sum of ranks is Daniel Rose Levine, or DRL, who, if you guys don't know, is the feet world record holder, and also the second in feet and the sixth in feet are also on the top sum of ranks. So if feet gets, if they get rid of feet, then their sum of ranks is going to go down like just a little bit. It doesn't make that much of a difference to them, and that's not good. It's got to make a difference to them, because it's going to make a difference of, like, in some cases, like 213 to Kevin Gerhard, I think that's how you pronounce your name. Yeah, it's going to bring down, or it's going to skew sum of ranks so much, and that's just something that they cannot do just because it's so unethical.
Yeah, I feel like, no offense to people who like clock, and I average like 9, and I still don't like clock, but clock is just so different from the rest of the WCA events, and I feel like if they were thinking about removing an event, it should have been clock, because everything about it is way different. But foot solve is kind of like one-handed, where you kind of have a little handicap on your solve to make it more difficult. But I just think it's a really cool event, and it shouldn't be removed.
Yeah, on the forums thread about it, the speed solving forums, Felix actually had some input. He said it's fantastic to hear that this event is on its way out. He had 5 points on why it's good that it's being removed, so I'll just briefly go over them. He said the puzzle adds almost nothing new in terms of puzzle techniques. The only skill is being able to manipulate the cube with your feet. Number 2 was it's unpopular. Well, actually, number 2 was it's not only difficult, but it's time consuming to run for the delegates and organizers, and it hasn't been held that often in competitions the past few months or year or so. Then third, it's unpopular. Fourth, it looks unprofessional and kind of has a negative image on speed cubing to non-cubers. And then there's already too many events in the WCA. So it just makes the bigger events longer. So any thoughts on any of those things?
Yeah. Felix, we love you. We think you're really cool. You want Platinum WCA. I'm not judging you. I want Platinum WCA, and it's really hard to get, but you want Platinum WCA.
Hey, that might be a good point.
Yeah, and I'm just saying one-handed is just doesn't add anything new, and it's just manipulating the cube with only one hand. But I still think that should be a WCA event. And
it is.
And clock is unpopular, but that's still a WCA event.
Is that more because of hardware, though? It's not really it's not it's not competitors that are the issue. It's hardware, because I've been saying for months that if we got a good clock, or lots of people made their clocks good, it would be a popular event.
Well, true. There's the Baron Wong clocks, though, and those are really good.
Mm-hmm.
And there's your clocks, which are also amazing.
Thanks, yeah. For sure.
Yeah,
I
almost
mine.
got one.
Mm-hmm. Magnets are still available for anybody who's interested in making their own, or I guess I could make one if they wanted. So that's the issue, in my opinion. Feet, I'm fine with them removing feet. The only issue I have is the people who are really good at it, like DRL. I just feel bad for them.
It's unfair.
It is. And like 6x6 and 7x7 are really time consuming too, but like I feel like we shouldn't remove any WCA events. But if we absolutely had to, it would be clock. Because it's just, I feel like it's just so different, and foot solve does add something unique, because it's like, doesn't add a ton to technique except for manipulating it with the cube, but it's a really interesting event. And as cubers, I don't think we're really going for, we want it to look professional and all that, but I don't go there to like brag to people and say I go to competitions. I go to enjoy it and have fun, and I really enjoy foot solve, and I think it's a fun event. And
when's the last time you guys competed in feet, or there was a competition you went to or right near you that had feet?
There was a competition that had feet near me, like this early this summer, but I didn't get to go to that. I really wanted to, though. And then also, like about a year ago, there was one, and I competed in feet. But I'm also organizing one, and I want to hold feet, and hopefully that the WCA won't say like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Hopefully I'll be able to actually hold feet by then.
Owen, what about you?
So I have always wanted to compete in feet, but there has never been a competition anywhere near me. First of all, there's never been a competition anywhere like extremely near to me. Second of all, the closest competition I've ever been to was about 2 hours away. But then, second of all, there's never been a competition close to me that held feet. I've always wanted to compete in it because I am kind of good friends. I don't know. I'm just friends, I guess, with DRL. And yeah, and it's pretty fun. And I've practiced a lot, actually. I can do it in about 5 minutes. I am not good, but I can do it. And yeah.
Yeah, is this maybe one of the problems? I mean, the WCA delegates voted on whether to keep feet as an event and the average of 5 format last year around this time. And there still hasn't been many competitions with feet. So is it like, is the community rejecting feet, or is it the delegates and organizers issue not holding those events? Because, I mean, I guess if there was a demand for feet, the delegates would encourage that event more. But then there's like, it's like a bit hassle to hold, so.
So it's the reason, some of the reasons that they gave, the WRC gave for getting rid of feet were that it's, the first reason they gave was that it's difficult to organize. And I'm not actually sure if that's true. I'm guessing like the biggest problem is that people will get out of the competitor waiting area and like put on foot warmers because they're cold. I doubt that besides that, there's probably no problems.
Well, I know.
Or mostly no problems.
I was talking with the delegate, and he says just because people are grossed out, he uses different timers for foot solve. So it's like, actually, if everyone does that, then that's a pretty expensive event to hold because there's separate timers just for that.
That was one of Felix's points. So he was saying that there's 6 like cities where competitions are held in Australia, and only one of them has feet equipment. So feet is basically only held in that city. So
also, it's not a very fun job for scramblers.
No, good point.
I know the competition I went to that had it, there was a thing that said the scramblers for foot solve will be provided with hand sanitizer. And I thought that was kind of funny. Mm-hmm. But I mean,
that's very funny.
How about you just get the faster feet solvers to scramble the cubes with their feet?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That would make it pretty inefficient, though, because, I mean, some areas there aren't very fast foot solvers. I mean, I think I'm the fastest one in my area. It's possible that just no one else has competed. But actually, I've never gotten an average in comp. But I averaged like a minute and a half, so I'm okay.
Would you guys be okay with feet getting removed if the WCA promised that they would add another event?
Ew.
Completely depends on what the event is.
Yeah. Okay. I'd like Master Pyraminx to be added. That would be really cool.
It would, yes.
I think I would be willing to do that switch. But, I mean, if it was just like 4x4 Megaminx, I don't know what it's called. But
Gigaminx.
Gigaminx, okay. Yeah, if it was something like that, then I would not want to switch because that event is just, like, there's terrible hardware and other things like that. So I doubt they would add it, but...
Yeah, if it was like 2 blind or 6 blind, then I think that would be really cool, and they could definitely add that in. I also just got to throw this in because my dad mentions it all the time. He thinks that 3x3 with oven mitts would be a great event.
I disagree with all of those, except for maybe 6 blind, because 2x2 blindfolded, Rami Spahi did an average blindfolded, and he got what he normally gets, because all the fast 2x2ers just one look at anyway, so it would really...
Yeah, but it's still a fun challenge.
It needs, no matter what it is though, it needs to be something short that can be done in at like regular people can do it in about a minute or under, at least, because we can't have another 3 or 4 minute event added.
But I mean,
Or
if
in-
we're
or in
taking
the case
away
of Six
foot,
Blinds, like hours.
Yeah, so I don't
Well, I
think that
mean,
would be a
I
good
Have you
bet
ever
five
guys?
blinds
Have
is
you
a
guys ever
record.
tried Big Blind?
No.
Oh, I do it all the time. It's very fun.
I can't solve a cube blindfolded. I haven't practiced, so I've never really done it. I know how it works, but I'm just trying to like improve at other events, so I've never really put forth the effort to try and learn blind.
Yeah. Okay, so we're doing a vote right now, just between
Vote
the
right
three of
now.
us. Should feet be removed from the WCA? And no promises that there's another event going to be added. Do you want feet removed? Yes or no, Rustin?
No.
Owen, what about you?
No.
And I vote yes.
Really?
Yeah. I'm the only bad thing I see is the people who are fast at feet. But in order for the community to grow, something has to change in the WCA, and it hasn't looked like over the past couple of years that they're too excited about adding more events. So maybe if we can get feet removed, there's more room for growth in events or in the community.
I feel like it wouldn't grow up much because feet is pretty much never held anyway, so it wouldn't make a very big difference to many people.
I know, but if there are fewer events then the WCA might consider adding more. Or at least one to replace it.
Yeah.
And then if this
I'd
one
really
is
like another.
removed and there isn't too much of an uproar, then they might consider removing other events as well, which could be a
That would be
benefit
scary.
if there isn't enough participation, which this was one of the main reasons of removing it. There wasn't enough participation. I think we'll do a poll for the Corner Cutter podcast audience, and I'll put it in the show notes this episode. Just go to thecornercutterpodcast.com/show notes, and it'll be in this week's episode, which is episode 62. And then we'll just see what you guys think about it. Feel free to email in or call in or whatever with your opinions as well, because I guess this is a pretty heated topic. So, any final thoughts or anything you guys want to advertise or share before we wrap this up?
Angstrom Dignitas fixes all your problems.
Footsolve is a great event.
Okay, good wrap up. And for you,
Yeah.
any YouTube channel, anything you guys want to advertise?
Yeah, Owen the Cuber. It's a picture of a 5x5 with like a heart on it is
Okay.
the thing. Don't have very many videos right now, but I'm gonna make videos on tutorials of how to set up cubes really well because that's what I do.
Okay, cool.
Nebula fixes all of your problems.
Uh-oh, we got some cube store
Angstrom is really
competition
good,
right
though.
there.
I just
Okay.
had to say that.
Rustin, do you have a YouTube channel or anything?
Not yet. I'm
Okay.
working on that, though.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, Owen, I'll link to your channel in the show notes as well. Thanks, guys, so much for coming on.
All right. Thank you.
so much for
It's
having
really
us.
fun.
That was an interesting conversation. We covered a lot of different topics, subtopics in these two main topics, so that was really interesting. If you want to be on a future show of the Corner Cutter Podcast, then just go to thecornercutterpodcast.com/guest, fill out the form, and you might be chosen to be on one of the upcoming shows. How I do the Cuber Chats episodes now is I look at everybody who signed up through the forum, then I send them all an email saying I'm planning on recording a show at a certain time, or I ask you guys, ask the people who signed up what times they're available. Then, depending on when I'm available, I choose 2 or 3 people and we record an episode. And one of the requirements is you need to have really good audio quality, or else you can't be on, because when there's 3 people on a call like that, it can get bad sometimes. So you have to have a good connection, a good microphone, and no background noise. And then we go right ahead with the Cuba Chats episode. Also, I wanted to let you guys know that there won't be an episode next week. And that's because I'm studying for a test, which is next Friday, so exactly a week from now. And I just need the extra time to study, so I can't have a distraction by doing the podcast earlier that week. I am already releasing this episode quite late because I've been studying, so that's the reason there won't be an episode next week. Thank you guys so much for listening. Next episode will probably be a Q&A episode. I'm not quite sure. It'll be one of the solo shows, though, most likely. Remember, if you have any feedback, any questions for me, please email me, josh@thecornercutterpodcast.com, and check out the website, thecornercutterpodcast.com. And now it's time to take this episode back to the scrambling table, and I'll talk to you guys again in 2 weeks on episode 63 of the Corner Cutter Podcast. I've gotten quite a few nice Apple Podcast reviews, and I will be reading those next week.